So a lot of complaints about the travel industry. This has been a rough year for the airline industry with flight delays, cancellations. It's really roulette when you get to the airport. Is your plane going to go at all? And how close to schedule is it going to go? And let me tell you, you're not just in misery. The airline employees who work at the airport, ticket counter, gate agents, flight attendants, pilots, mechanics, wing walkers, everybody is suffering from the mistakes that airline management made at all the nation's airlines as a result of what happened with COVID in March of 20. And none of them have recovered from it. It's been really awful. And so we're all in this misery together. But one part of the misery that is mainly borne by the passengers and the flight attendants is how people are being crowded on airplanes like you can't believe. And if you've been on some of the newest airplanes, some of the airlines have made a very interesting choice of making the toilets so tiny that anybody, as they refer to them now in the airline industry, passengers of size, anybody who's not a stick figure can't really fit in these bathrooms. They are so extremely tiny. And then you got the seats. So you got the leg room shrinking. You got the seat width that's terrible. A lot of the Boeing aircraft only have a seat width of 17 inches. Now, Americans are quite a bit bigger than we used to be. We are taller and bigger, and the seats have gotten smaller and the space has gotten smaller. So there's been this backlash with the public against airlines shrinking the space. And now there's a comment period open with the feds. The FAA wants to know if you think the FAA should issue regulations that would control how much space you have. Okay, so my thing, as long as an airline can demonstrate that everybody can evacuate safely in the mandated time, which I think is 90 seconds in the event of an emergency, I'm fine with letting the airlines allocate the space inside a plane however they want. And I'm even a fan of the Ryanair proposal from the Irish airline of having a standee section on flights up to 90 minutes that you could buy an even cheaper fare if you were willing to stand. I love to stand anyway. So if I could stand for 90 minutes and get the cheapest possible fare, I'd be all over that. And I'm not kidding, actually. So people choose to fly airlines that have these very tight rows. Why? Because of the price. You start having the government get in and mandate, you lose a lot of innovation too. I mean, there's stuff coming in the airline industry, not seen it in the United States, but like Air New Zealand is coming up with a lie flat bed in coach. Really innovative design. And there are things coming, including there are going to be potentially in the future bunk beds on airplanes. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that designers are coming up with that's very safe because these seats have to meet safety requirements first. And you allow the industry to innovate. I mean, you look what's happening with the more and more classes of seats. You've got the basic economy, then you've got economy, then you've got the economy where they give you a little more leg room that each airline calls its own thing, and then there might be a premium economy, which is a wider seat with more leg room, and then there might be first class or business class or whatever. Planes are being segmented into all these different compartments. And what's funny when you fly the full fare airlines is how many different boarding groups they have. Like they got like 14 boarding groups, these days. And so if you're this status, you board now. If you're first class, you board. And if you're, I don't know. I mean, they've got all these different things. If you have their credit card, you're boarding group. And what boarding group number are you usually in? Because you're a big shot with one of the
No, you
three
think you're a
full-fare
big shot
airlines.
and you have a good boarding group, and then you're like the 10th one to go. It's
10th
hilarious.
group.
I love that they always board the military first, active duty military, and then families with kids have to board. You know, there's just a lot of groups for sure.
I remember I was on a flight once on one of the full-fare airlines, and I'd bought the basic economy because it was just so cheap. And so the gate agent calls group after group after group after group and never calls for basic economy. And so I realize I'm the only one left at the gate. It's like that movie, Meet the Parents, was it?
Oh my
With
gosh.
the guy standing there, the only person at the gate.
Yes.
And so I go forward and I said, you haven't called my group yet. She said, what group are you? I said, basic economy. She said, oh, okay, you can board.
Wow.
I was the only person. I have a picture of it.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
hilarious.
have a picture of me being the only person at this big airline gate. We should post that
Well,
picture.
you probably didn't
shouldn't we?
have to wait on the jetway.
No, I walked onto the plane and everybody's like, so now we can go? Finally, the last person's on the plane. But I figure if I hadn't said anything, she was going to close the door and that plane was going without me.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
But anyway, as far as the seat thing, I don't want the government involved in it because I believe that innovation is going to win the day. There's an airline I never talk about that's one of the startups called Breeze Airways. They're doing so much innovative stuff, and don't now post about, well, I booked a Breeze flight and this happened or that happened. But they're a very innovative carrier. They're doing a lot of cool things with the seats, and I love letting the entrepreneurs come up with the answer. And by the way, do you think that the airline's going to sell that awful basic economy seat that I bought if there wasn't somebody dumb enough like me who would buy it, right? And why did I buy it? Because it was the cheapest fare, and that day I didn't have to take a bag. I was traveling with just a backpack, and it worked out for me.
You're sitting there with your little backpack and your ticket and just waiting for someone to call your name. That's hilarious.
But I didn't get left. The meek do not inherit the airport. I went forward and said, excuse me, ma'am, is it my turn to board? But I want them to make sure that it's safe for us to get off the plane.
Yeah.
That is what I care about. Other than that,